welcome to another episode of Shooting
the Shit with Rachel Ann
and Neil Young. So we're talking all things real estate photography business growth, mindset, and getting it done. Here come your favorite true entrepreneurs, Rachel Ann and Neil Young, shooting the shit.
I have a ferret on the Like if we're kind of in a slump, like what kind of things do you do?
Talking about a boob light.
Straddling a power line.
Nice photo.
Ooh, I need that.
I'm like red right now because I'm embarrassed. I go like this. I love it.
Come in.
Sure. Use your podcast voice.
Over here, I'm pitting out.
Drone's like flipping to the ground.
That's a great callback.
Chit-chatting.
Is that what you call that? Hey!
This episode is brought to you by my admin. Well, HD Photo Hub, which is basically like having an admin.
That's right. And it's not just a delivery platform. It's a powerhouse designed to make your work shine. From stunning teaser videos and social media reels to custom property websites and polished printable flyers, HD Photo Hub automates it all so you can focus on what matters, growing your business.
That's right. Yay! Boo, 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 boo. Add some fireworks to this if we aren't already, because we are at episode 100. Can you believe it, Rach?
We made it, Neil. We made it.
Is it all you dreamed it would be, Rachel?
Oh, you have no idea. It's just the best feeling ever to make it to 100. I guess we've made it as a podcast because what did we hear? What was that stat when we first started?
Geez.
You read something and it was like, you haven't made it on a podcast until you've made it to 100 episodes.
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly what it was that I read, but I remember it was like if we get to 100 episodes, and that sounded like, oh yeah, we'll get that done. How long did you think that was going to take to get to 100 episodes?
I mean, I don't think I realistically thought about that. I just thought, 100 doesn't sound that hard. And then I remember we got to episode maybe like 15, and it had been 6 months or something crazy. And I'm like, whoa. Or maybe it's only been like 4 months or something, but it felt like forever. And I'm like, that's all we've done. Oh my gosh. I'm like, 100's going to take forever. And it has taken forever. It's been 3.5 years.
3.5 years we've been doing this. I can't believe I never you don't like anything when you start, you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a breeze and we're just going to kill it and be famous day one. Let's do it. I know that's what I thought when I drove to LA to go do acting and comedy. I was like, yeah, a couple months and I'll be doing shows and I'll be doing, whatever. I was out there 10 years with like 3 breaks.
You part of that like new idea optimism, where like when you start something, it's super easy. And then did we do an episode on that?
Oh yeah, it's true. And yeah, you hit that. And how many times have we like stopped for busy season or things in our lives, and luckily we still pulled it back together and got going again after a break and stuff. But there's so many times where you're like, should we still be doing this? Like right now, 100's a good number. What do you think? Are we done?
Literally today, we're like, maybe this would be the last episode. That's it. Sorry guys, we're done.
That's it.
You've enjoyed.
Peace out.
In the shit.
Because it's work. As much fun as you and I have doing this, it's still work and something you got to fit in your calendar and figure out how to get edited. And so today we're going to talk to you a little bit about the journey and what's different now, episode 100 versus episode 1, and in not just the podcast, but our lives and our careers and our where we are with our businesses. So much has changed. But before we even do that, I pulled up a couple stats just to talk about 100 episodes is no joke actually, because I couldn't find that exact stat that I looked at originally when I thought, if we can make it to 100, like that's when we've hit the ground running. But basically, this is what I found today. So 90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 3. 90%.
3?
Yeah. 3 episodes. Yep. Wow. And of those that do, 90% of the remainder don't make it past episode 20. 90% of those people.
Dang.
And so basically that means only about 1 out of every 100 podcasts make it to episode 21, right? And then so we're officially hitting 100 podcasts. We're officially in the top 1% of all podcasts.
Oh my gosh. That's so exciting.
Just for consistency and grind, right? And that's a big thing about business. I keep listening to all these podcasts, and it's one of the big things that keeps coming out is they're like the difference between someone who's successful and starts killing it in business is somebody who just stuck with it the longest. You beat out the other people. They gave up. They took a different turn, and you just kept going and figuring it out and going. And that's what we've been doing. And we're not there yet. We're still figuring it out, right? But we're still top 1%. That's crazy. I think that's really something to be excited about. And we can't do it without you guys. And so a big piece of this is we really want to say thank you to all of our listeners. And so if we're talking to a wall, we wouldn't have made it this long. So, and meeting some people in person and the comments that we get, are things that have actually inspired us to keep going. Without that, we would have stopped before episode 20 for sure.
Exactly. Just to go back to the whole grit thing and sticking with it, Neil, a big part of entrepreneurship, it's not just the consistency, but it's the resilience. It's coming across a problem and being able to take that problem and resolve it or figure out a new solution. And you're going to have to do that as a business owner over and over. I mean, you just get beat up constantly. Yeah. And it's how do you look at it? Do you look at it like you're getting beat up, or are you looking at like, okay, this is a challenge. How am I going to overcome it? Right. For me, mindset that's one of the biggest things that's changed for me is I've really learned to see it for what it is and know that this is just part of the business. Like really having a better understanding of what it means to be an entrepreneur and what it means to succeed. So, and when things get tough, it's like, you got to keep going. You don't quit. And that's what you and I have done with this podcast. I think the breaks really helped me to be able to continue going forward with the podcast, because there were times where I just simply didn't have time. And I wanted to do it. And even now, like through this busy season, we didn't have time. And we decided, let's record in the car. We did, I think 2 or 3 episodes in the car, which worked okay. It kept glitching out, which is annoying. So
yeah.
Might do some of those in the future, but it's
quite
tough.
There technically yet for what we're trying to do. But that's exactly it. There was a problem. We've tried to find a new solution, and that's something I kind of enjoy doing. But there are definitely the times when you feel like that's it. I can't do this anymore. So no, you're going to hit those walls, but it's that marathon where you got to just go, all right, you know what? I just got to go a little further. Let's keep going. And then sometimes you get that breakthrough, which is really nice when you really find some solution that you're like, oh, and it just opens another door for you, and then things change. So without the challenge, you wouldn't have got there.
Right, exactly. And there's something to be said for positive feedback. Like for me, whenever I get just a little bit of positive feedback, that's enough to fill my cup for a couple weeks. And I can have 10 more bad things happen and I can just hang on to that one good. You know what I mean? I keep it going.
Yeah. We do need the positives for sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sure.
Well, Neil, I want to thank you for being an amazing podcast partner. I really took a chance on you, only knowing you for a week before we started this. I'm glad you're not a psycho. But no, you've been an absolutely amazing podcast partner. You always are just the best interviewer. You always keep the conversation going. You encourage me to do this, but not in a pushy way, which I really appreciate. Because I really don't like being told what to do. So
Rachel doesn't hear that.
I was a little rebellious child, and I'm pretty sure that's just carried over into my adult life. But ask anyone close to me. They're like, Rachel's a pain in the butt, but we love her.
Same to you, Rach. I mean, it's so amazing that we took a chance on this and that we just hit the ground running, and it's been so great. And you've been an amazing podcast partner and so fun, and that we've grown into friends. It's like it's not only on the podcast, but we chat about things all the time. We're just friends, and it's so cool that we basically it's a modern pen pal.
Yeah, exactly. It really is.
That's too funny. Yeah. So.
Glad we stuck with it for sure. And we want to thank our sponsors too, because the sponsors, we originally were like, we don't want sponsors. We don't want to have interruptions with commercials. And then we were editing the episodes, so hiring people to edit the episodes. There are costs with the podcast, and it started to feel like, okay, this is getting expensive. It's getting timely. It would be nice. And we had a conversation with HT Photo Hub, and it was a good fit. And we're like, let's do it. And now we've got Pixel CRM on. So we want to thank both of these sponsors for just being fantastic and believing in us and promoting us and helping us grow.
Yeah. And that was a whole new challenge of itself, like reads, and you got to figure out all these other things. And so, all these things, a learning curve for everything.
Yeah.
Hang
And
on
that added
Rachel,
pressure.
sorry. I got a cat on my light that's about to break it.
Oh no.
Come here.
Kitty,
What are you
kitty.
doing? I just pulled cats from the ceiling.
It's raining cats today at Neil's house.
I'll be right back. This is Checkers.
Okay. Hi, Checkers.
My softbox was like collapsing in on me as my cat's on top, just like, hi.
You're like, no, kitty, you cannot be on the podcast today.
There's been a lot of animals on the podcast as well over the years.
There have been, yes, for sure. Bringing on sponsors brought on a little bit more accountability and responsibility for us to record episodes every week. And that has been this year, we've committed to one a week. And we've missed 2 weeks in the last 2 weeks because we've just been crazy busy. And I've been traveling and it's summer and we just, I
can't tell that it's summer at all based on your skin color, Rachel.
What are you talking about?
if you're watching on YouTube, when we first turned on the cameras today, I was like, whoa, no more sun, Rachel. But she couldn't hear my mic, so she didn't hear me. But I was like, you're good. Sunblock.
I don't believe in suntan lotion and sunblock. Okay. I do it in the beginning of the year and then I stop wearing it. I think it has more chemicals in it than it's bad for your skin. I don't know. Well, if that's true or not, but
your skin is radiant. It's radiant. Yes.
I went to California last weekend for my daughter's soccer tournament, Sacramento. And I woke up early and went to the gym and went to the pool and did my Bible study. It was amazing. I had like 3 hours in the morning before my daughter would wake up. And I was like, yes, this is like the best vacation ever.
Yeah.
That
sounds good.
And then we stood outside and watched soccer all day. And went to the pool again. So I got lots of sun last weekend. And I've been working out in the yard. We're prepping for the mule. Mule will be here on Sunday. Got a couple
this
days.
Weekend is mule time.
2 more sleeps, as my daughter would say. 2 more sleeps, Mom.
2 more sleeps. Oh my gosh. Is she so excited?
Oh my gosh. You have no idea. The fence got finished yesterday.
Oh, nice.
It looks so good.
Cool.
Way better than I thought it was going to look, honestly. And
so if you guys don't know, they've changed their whole yard for getting this mule. They've got all huge crazy fence thing going in. They cleared out all the land. I've been getting, posts from Rachel throughout the past weeks, these new updates on what's happening in the yard and stuff like that. So it's pretty exciting to be this close to the mule finally coming.
Exactly. Do you know what's funny, Neil? Okay, this is kind of off topic, but I haven't posted much about my personal life on social media or about what we're doing. And part of it is because I tried to take July off work, ended up losing a shooter, getting a new shooter. So I wasn't quite able to do that, but I've really been stepping back a lot and letting the shooters do most of the jobs. And I'm still getting clients requesting me, but I feel guilty posting about my personal life, that I'm not working, that I'm just enjoying life and working in the yard. I feel like I shouldn't share it because maybe clients will look at it and be like, oh, Rachel never works. Like I have this mental thing going on right now. It's so weird. I'm like, why do I care what other people think? I'm allowed to have a life. I think it's because I honestly have not had a life. I very rarely would post about the fun stuff that I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
no, I can see that because you're like clients that used to see you all the time are not seeing you as much anymore. And now they just see posts of you in your yard and they think, well, isn't she living the life because she doesn't have to work? Yeah, right. I could see that. I get it.
Like maybe it's irresponsible. I don't know. It's this weird mental thing that I need to get over because I love looking back at my social media and watching my old videos on my personal one because it's like memories with my kids and of the chickens and all the things, my husband, like little adventures we've all gone on. I did post about the soccer tournament. I posted pictures from that. So that was good. I'm going to try to get better. I might post some like before and afters of the property as we have done. I cannot believe how much work we've done in the last month and a half, 2 months. And it's been rapid. My poor husband, he keeps saying like, this is happening way too fast. And I was like, I know, but if we didn't have a deadline, it would never get done. Like it would be next summer by the time we get this darn mule. And I'm like, we're picking her up in 2 weeks, babe. And he was like, it's that soon? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh my gosh. He goes, we're not going to be ready for her. I'm like, yeah, we are. Yes, we are. I'm like, I need you to rent another excavator. We need to get some of these roots out of the ground.
Does he basically just sleep out in the shelter for the mule now, like with his tools, like
He's down some
cuddling them?
shavings. He's got a little blanket out there. A mule blanket. Yep, he's got a bucket of water. He's good.
He wakes up in the middle of the night just yelling, "Mule! Mule!"
I'm like, honey, you're gonna love riding her. And he's like, no, I don't know. I don't
That
think
sounds nice. He's like, babe, once the mule's here, babe, I'm just chilling with my beers and watching sports for a couple months.
Exactly. But there's guilt on the podcast too. Like, I feel like we didn't put an episode out. So it's like, because I've been busy doing this, busy shooting and busy editing portraits and headshots and networking, there's a lot more. My business has shifted quite a bit. This is a good kind of lead into how we've grown and changed in the last 3.5 years, and my role in my business has changed substantially in 3.5 years. I used to be the one shooter. It was Rachel and photography when we started.
Yeah. And our wife photo when I started. No longer. The HYN group now. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're now Focused Media Collective. But I had me and a couple shooters and kind of had an admin, didn't have a virtual assistant, was doing most of it on my own, working 12 to 16-hour days. It was wild. How the heck did I have time to do a podcast back then? That's what I want to know. Like, I have way more time now and way less energy. I did listen to, we should link this below because it's such a good podcast. The Diary of a CEO interviewed Alex Hermosi, and it is 3 hours long. I think I'm 2 hours in. Haven't even finished it yet, but dang, it's good, man.
It's so good.
So good. But he talks about any business can get to $100 million. That's not a problem.
Isn't that inspirational? He's like, he's without flinching, he's like, any business. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. But there's most people fizzle out. They burn out, or they just lose interest, or they start doing something else. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm all of those things.
Yes. He said a lot of us too are sort of that creative and or ADHD brain where we get excited about something, then we get bored and we get excited about something else. And so you just kind of jump ship really quickly, right?
Yeah. Yep. And we kind of saw that happen with me, at least, with trying to do master plan, enjoying it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. At the end of the day, it was like, okay, what's really making me money and what's really possible for my lifestyle? And traveling is not good for me, especially now.
And that's what he said basically too in that podcast was like, he meets a lot of these entrepreneurs who come up to him very excited proud of the fact that they're like, I'm working on these 5 things or these 3 things. And that's, they're betting on the numbers of it that one will pan out but really the success that he sees with these businesses is not that. It's the opposite. It's the one that they have one thing and they have sole focus on that and they just keep going and meeting the challenges and beating the challenges. And basically anybody who tries to jump in to compete with them are 1,000 challenges ahead. They have the longevity and that's how they really succeed. Just splitting the focus and then having so much on your plate, you just can't knock it out of the park like you can with singular focus. So that's a challenge that we have too, right? Because we have our businesses and we have our podcast and we have our course and we have our life. You were doing some great stuff on Master Plan. It was so cool, but that was a tough decision that you made to decide focusing on the podcast stuff, or am I focusing on the master plan stuff or am I focusing on my business? And so I think we're slowly getting more and more focused, but it's hard. We're both constantly seeing some new shiny thing that we want to focus on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. One thing that he did say about the entrepreneur kind of life cycle, he's like, I see some people that just cruise. They work so hard and then they just cruise for a couple of years, or they're fine with where they're at and they don't want to grow anymore. And he goes, that's 100% fine. I totally respect that. If someone doesn't want to grow and be a $100 million business, I respect that. And honestly, like when I first started this business, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, I just need to make money. And then when I realized kind of the potential of it and saw what I could do with it, I was like, I want to be a big business. I want to have a ton of shooters and blah, blah, blah. As I get into that, I suffered through some burnout obviously working 12 to 16-hour days and having no life, that'll do that to you. But I realized that like that's not what's going to bring me joy and happiness. I'm actually really happy with the size that we are now and where we're at. I like kind of having the tight-knit, smaller group. I do find that when I add more people in, it just adds another layer of problems. And as the CEO of the company, all of the problems, especially the big ones, go directly to me. So I'm constantly having to combat that, diffuse the situations, fix the problems. I mean, I have people in place that help with those problems, but ultimately when there's an issue, it comes to the owner. So I could only imagine, I think I would really need to remove myself even more if I wanted to go bigger and make it where nobody knows who the owner is. It's management that they deal with. But
that's my thought as well. And that's what changed for me too. When I first started, it was just me. Everything was NRY Photo, which is Neil Robert Young, right? I got up to 2 shooters and then went back down to just me again in that time frame. And then now back up to, now we have 2 shooters working on a third potentially. But yeah, as soon as you start growing those, you start going, do I enjoy this anymore? Because you start just being the problem guy. And my thought exactly is that you kind of start separating from the joy of it once you start becoming the manager of it. And I thought, well, yeah, it's either one thing. It's either I keep it small and I still enjoy it, or if I do grow it, then yeah, I have to step back even further to let somebody else handle more of these problems. Because also then at that point, I really want to focus more on this kind of our podcast stuff and our course stuff. If in order to do that, and be able to give more focus to that, I can't be doing both so much. So really have to step back to have a manager who took over my whole role. And really, I would just, I would be the owner.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's definitely a lot to think about. And as you grow, I think we all kind of get to that point where you're like, all right, what do I want to do with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What brings me joy? Is this still it? And I think we hit a lot of those walls over the last 3 years.
Definitely. Right? Yeah. For me, it's like I got to figure out this life work balance thing. I mean, I'm getting there. I've gotten a lot better, and a lot better at saying no. I think that's been one of the biggest things that I've learned over the last 3.5 years is how to set boundaries and how to say no.
Yeah.
As I caved to a client next Tuesday, yesterday, a client called me. He's like, can you please shoot for me on Tuesday? I'm like, I literally said this. I'm like, that's the day I have my kids. I don't know if I can do that. And he was like, please. I just really need you to do it. And I was like, well, is this a really special listing to you or something? Like I asked him that.
That's funny.
It is. She's an elderly woman. And I just really, we have a really close connection. And I just really want you to do it. And I'm like, aww. It's like a 2,000 square foot house. He just wants photos and a video. It'll take me an hour. It's not that far away. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll do it on a Tuesday when I have my kids. They all hate me, but whatever. He goes, bring them with. I'm like, no, they hate coming to jobs. They're not coming. He goes, I'll play with the kids. I'm like, they don't need played with. They're 12 and 15. Like, they're
That's
big
not
now.
what they want. A stranger to play with them. That'll sell them on like, it.
Hey,
it's okay, honey. The stranger realtor you don't know is going to very nice of him, but that's not going to make them excited.
Just offer them candy. There you go. Kids, do you want some candy?
Oh God.
My gosh, terrible. Okay. Yeah. So let's lead into, unless do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I really wanted to say one thing about that is that, saying no is very hard. But most of the times that I've done it where I'm like, and really trying to focus, I've started saying no to a lot more stuff too. Like people wanted me to do this video in the middle of busy season for a pet store. They're a friend of a big client of mine, but I had to say, we just don't have the time for it right now. I can't do it. And it wasn't a big deal for her. But in my mind, I'm like, oh God, I'm going to say no. I feel so bad. And she was like, oh, that's okay. And I was like, oh, thank God, because I don't have time for it. But you feel this obligation. And then the other thing, I really love the flip on that. I don't know who I heard say this, but I love the flip was saying yes to something. You are saying no to something else. Mm-hmm. So choose wisely the things you're saying yes to. Are they meeting your goal? Where are you trying to go? You're really trying to kill this real estate business and blow it out of the park. Then you should only be saying yes to real estate stuff. The more you're saying yes to things that aren't real estate, then you're stopping your growth essentially because you're just clogging the pipe. Now, that might be slightly different in slow season. I say yes to more of those things, and I tell people that even. Hey, I've had I had a big opportunity for this kitchen place that has multiple locations. And I said no. I said, hey, they said, I said, when are you thinking to do this? This is the kind of project I will take on during slow season. But right now we have an obligation to our clients, and we don't have enough shooters that we can do both. And so actually they said now, okay, yeah, we can do slow season. So, but that helps. That now felt so much better. Like, okay, that's just a win. And if they had said no, I would have been okay with it too. So, because it was the right thing to do. It was the right decision because my core business is real estate.
Exactly. But we will have another episode. Our next episode is going to be about how to gear up for slow season and what we do then. So we'll save that talk for then. But I have stuff to say about that. All right. That leads me into the good versus the bad decisions on the podcast. Let's talk about some of our good decisions and bad decisions. I'll start with a bad one because that's fun.
Your podcast partner.
Oh, I know. Dang
You're like, and now I'm just stuck with it.
We don't get along at all, Neil. It really sucks. Like,
really rethinking that. Should have day one. Yeah.
No, it's the name of the business.
Yes.
So we had a whole list of names, and Shooting the Shit with Rachel Ann and Neil Young is one, the world's longest name, and two, it has a swear word in it. So we have to come up with like characters in order to spell it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And we get shadow banned on social media for it. There's listeners who are offended by it and whatever. It just was so fitting.
The thing about the title, it really ties into exactly how this, I don't know how we figured that it would go that way forever, but really we just do end up shooting the shit, and it's like it is totally fitting. But yes, it has had its technical problems for sure. Yeah. I don't mind as much that somebody gets offended by it, because I think if they get offended by the name, well, they're probably going to be offended by a lot of things we say. So, but more of the YouTube stuff and all that is like, oh yeah, that is tricky, and yeah, it is a really long name, and like trying to get a URL or tell somebody, hey, just go to Shooting the Shit with Rachel Ann and Neil Young,
And Rachel, I spell my name AEL, and you spell your name NEAL. So there's like, how do you spell it? It's, it's such a pain.
Totally. So we've transitioned some. So since the core stuff came out, where we came up with Grow with Rach and Neil, we've transitioned some to Grow, and I think that's right now that seems like a good idea. We'll know in 3 more years we'll decide if it was.
Yeah, exactly. So on our website, Grow with Rach and Neil. NEAL. We have a page with all of our courses, and then we have a page for the podcast. So you can see all the episodes on there as well, which is that's pretty cool. So our umbrella business is Grow with Rach and Neil, and then we have the podcast under that.
What was another bad choice?
Not having an editor. We don't have an editor right now. I'm about to hire a guy that I just interviewed to edit for us.
Well, a lot of the choices we made too were phase 1 choices, right? And some of them actually have been fine the whole time, which is interesting thing that you don't always have to go all high end right out the gate, right? And so I think that was one of those choices is like, well, right now we don't know if this is gonna work, or so we started out going, we'll just edit it, right?
Yeah, and cost, right? Like cost was a big one.
Yeah, but some of the cost things that we went short on worked up to this point, which like our first decision, do we need to pay for like Riverside or something that was a little better quality?
Explain what Riverside is for those.
So Riverside is a program that you can use to record your podcast, right? And it has better quality and stuff like that versus what we are currently using, which is Zoom. And we started out using Zoom just because, again, we were like, well, let's try to not incur too many costs for this thing right out the gate. And so Zoom has worked this whole time.
Well, we do use Riverside in the car.
Yes, and we did recently start using Riverside in the car, and I do like Riverside. So I think eventually we probably would fully switch to Riverside, but just know that, if you're going to start a podcast or anything, you don't always have to start out with all the most expensive stuff. Like our microphones, this was more of a mid-range. We could have got the SM7Bs, which costed twice as much, but we got these MV7s by Shure, and they're amazing. They've worked great, and this has been a stellar investment that we made. Yeah. It's good sound, and no regrets there.
Yeah. So, and I used to record in my living room, and then I painted a room in my new house when I moved, and got a Murphy bed over here to hide the guest bed. Put some panels up on the wall, grab some lights and plants. So I've actually put quite a bit of money now into my podcast setup, but I also use this for presentations over Zoom with clients. I've used it for Zoom calls with clients, which it just looks legit. I've recorded reels in this studio for my business. I mean, I've gotten a lot of use out of this podcast studio, more than podcast.
And if you're me, I use it just for this and other Zoom calls for business. But even in that, like people are like, oh, of course you have nice lighting and whatever. But this isn't an expensive setup that I have. This is a single, it's a good size softbox, but this is really close to me. Softbox. I just got one light. I do have my a GH5 for a camera, so I already had that, but I didn't buy it for this. So if you have a backup camera, you could use that. And we invested in the microphone. And then behind me is this is my basement, and that is a window, normally one of those cube glass windows that I just blocked off with foam board, and then I painted my wall blue. This right here. This over here, if you're watching YouTube, that is the panel that covers the electrical circuit breakers.
Yeah, you would never know. I've been to Neil's house and
you were like, wow.
Crazy. You walk down in the basement, you're like, this is where you record? When it's freezing down there, I feel bad for you.
Yeah. Oh, in the winter, it's bad. Right now, it's great. But yeah.
It doesn't have to be a fancy, crazy setup to make this work. I got invited to be on a podcast by a realtor a few weeks ago, and he records at like a professional studio.
Psst. Sorry to interrupt. If you haven't heard, Rach and I are using Pixel CRM.
Pixel CRM isn't just another boring tool. It's basically your business's best friend. With Pixel CRM, you can automate your lead generation, follow-ups, client communication, and stay top of mind with email campaigns. And there's just so much more.
And if you want, you can try it out today. Just go to pixelcrm.com/STS, and you're going to get the first month of Pixel CRM free.
Wild. I'm like, this is such a more involved situation than what Neil and I have going on with our podcast. So can be a really intricate,
oh yeah. And I think
if you want it to be.
Well, yeah. And another challenge that we face from day one is just the fact that you're West Coast and I'm East Coast. So that's a limiting factor. I think if you were here, we have a studio, you and I would probably do a little fancier setup and sit in the studio together and converse together, and it'd be a different scenario. And some of the content we pull out of it would look a little more high end with a couple angles, but you don't have to do that. And yep, that works. So that was a good choice.
Yeah. Okay. A bad choice that we made was hiring. Remember when I hired a social media manager to do our social?
Oh, yes.
For $1,000 a month.
Yes.
I was crazy. Neil's like, what? And I'm like, well, it's coming out of my pocket. I don't care. I just don't want to do it. And we need to do it. So we hired her. She did a good job, but it was just too much money for what we were doing. It didn't make sense to be promoting the podcast on social media without having a product or something that we were selling to recover those costs. So it was just a total loss.
Yeah, we had no sponsor or anything like that. So it was it was too much overhead for what we were doing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I think that lasted maybe 6 months, something like that.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I think
I was like, well, Rach does this before for her business. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. But it sounds expensive.
And the social media was tough because still is tough. Like we've kind of backed off doing putting out shorts of the episodes. We use Opus Clip, which pulls shorts from the long episode, and it does a pretty good job, but we just were not getting any engagement on those or any likes. I mean, or views, probably 100 views. So I was like, is this even worth it? It does take an extra hour or two a week for me to do that. And I'm like, I don't think it really is paying for itself. So we kind of stopped doing that. If you guys enjoy seeing shorts from us, we would love some feedback from anybody. Yeah. So if you want to comment below or shoot us a message on social at Grow with Rach and Neil, we'd love to see kind of what you think about social media for a podcast.
Yeah, and this could all change eventually if we start doing well with our coursework that we've really been focused on lately, and then that might change. We might put more emphasis on some of that content, but just goes to show you 100 episodes of something and we're still figuring things out and changing direction and adjusting and then rethinking things again. So it really never ends, does it?
No, it really doesn't. Just editing the podcast is an issue for me. Like I was doing it while I was riding the bike, so it was making me work out, and then I quit riding the bike, and now I just sit on my tablet in bed and usually edit it, or like in my little chair. But we do need to get an editor. That would definitely help.
And I think that's the next thing that's hopefully changing is I spent doo-doo. You know, what's that saying about I just said doo-doo.
You
Doo-doo.
did.
Doo-doo.
I heard
by
that.
the way, doo-doo just randomly in there. It was going somewhere, but it just ended up as doo-doo.
Focus, Neil, focus.
What's the saying? The necessity is the whatever of invention.
I have
Or the
no
driving
idea.
it's the driving force for invention. I can't remember what the quote is, but basically, so the mother of all creation. Necessity is the mother of all creation. I think that's what it is. But anyway, forced to be looking again, hiring editors, and man, it's been hard. I spent most of this week just weeding through tons of submissions. That's the great news about it. But a lot of them are careless and don't even read your description and still send you their info, and they're really just not what you needed. And you're looking at their portfolio, hoping for that, like, wait, no, they are amazing. So, but finally, I've hit a point where I've started to hit some good people, and excited doing some tests them and stuff. And I think that it's going to force me to find a way to be able to have one or two more editors, which I may have to hire somebody full time. But the scary part there is it's more overhead for me, but I feel like it may be the next thing to drive us forward with our podcast, to really have somebody on demand more to work on more of this stuff, because I probably won't have enough just regular video work. So we'll give them some of this work as well to keep them consistently busy. And that's another thing I heard lately in Rach. Can you imagine if you had to go back to a world pre-HD Photo Hub?
Oh, no way. No, HG Photo Hub literally saved my life during the COVID craze. With online ordering, their invoicing, the photo delivery, the Google integration, and just having everything on one platform, HG Photo Hub really does it all. And I cannot imagine my business without it.
Same. Pre-HD Photo Hub, I feel like I was just spending all my time chasing my own tail. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is our listeners get a special deal. If you enter the code STS, you're going to get 10 free full marketing kit deliveries. Remember, enter the code STS.
He's on salary.
On salary.
So,
yeah.
And it's reasonable. So
it's hundreds, not thousands.
Correct. And he doesn't work full time. I mean, I pay him full time, but he doesn't. Honestly, we don't have enough work for him. I always say that. I'm like, he's been with me like 2.5 years. I'm like, I should figure that out. I should have more work for him.
Well, it sounds like there's a podcast that he could do more of.
Well, that's the problem. There's a language barrier. So yes, he could definitely. Like the ad that we just created, he made that all pretty, and he's great at doing that. But I have to cut it down. I sent it to another American editor to cut it down, which cost me like $200 to have 7 videos cut. I'm like, dude, I mean, I get it. It takes time, but it's a $25 an hour. I'm like, how long were you working on this? He did edit 3 of the drone videos for me too. So there's that. But yeah, it adds up really quick when you're paying $25 an hour to someone to edit your videos. It's a lot.
Yeah, it takes a big chunk out of that profit. I know I'm always looking at that, and it's like, you think about like, oh, okay, so I paid my shooter to shoot this, then I paid the editor to do this, and so now I'm left with what? And then you're like, oh, wait. So let's say I'm left with $100. Don't forget taxes. And so you're like, I'm really left with nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
You're lovely. Yes.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, I always feel like I'm bringing all this money in, but where does it go? I'm not seeing enough of it.
And every time, sometimes I break it down like that, and I look at it and I go, oh, yeah, there it went. And that's a challenge for me too, because sometimes I'm like, all right, well, there's a value too in doing the work to build the following from the people, even if it's not making a ton of money. It's still a staple of the business that attracts business, which makes money, like the video work, for example. Sometimes I have to pay somebody too much to help me out with editing one of these things, or we do a project that's really big and I have to compensate them for the time to edit that, but it's more of like a portfolio piece that people see and go, ooh, maybe we need to work with those guys. So I'm like, it's not always a loss when I don't make a lot of money, but it is also a thing on the roadmap, is that eventually you get to some point where you have to go, okay, we have people, we have traction, we're invoicing and making money, but the next step is now how to make it more profitable. So then you go backwards and look at like everything you're doing. How do we refine all these things? How do we make it cost less so that we make more money? I think that's another step that you eventually hit in business too. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the time difference. Has been a bit of an issue for us because we're 3 hours different. So recording, Neil, a lot of times it's 7:00 here and it's 10:00 over there on the East Coast. And luckily Neil's a night person and I'm a morning person, because
that
now.
is the saving grace. Because we started recording at 6 a.m. today.
Oh,
and
which is
that was
early.
9 for me. So I just dropped my daughter off at summer camp. So that worked. But normally we don't do the mornings. This is an unusual one.
We've done
today.
this once before, and it's really just because we don't have time to record any other time. And it's going to be another week before we get a podcast out if we don't do it this morning. So I was like, let's just do it 6 a.m. And then I got a team meeting at 8. So I have one more hour. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we can get 2 in today, that's great. We like to kind of batch record when we can to knock a couple out, but we talk a lot. This one, I was like, let's make this a 30-minute episode, and it's been almost an hour already.
Is it really?
minutes.
Jeez,
So we gotta go.
Yeah, we do.
Let's talk faster.
But I think that's really what we wanted to talk about for this one too. But the one last thing that we really wanted to talk about today was we talked about the only reason we moved forward was because of interaction from our listeners, and we really need more of it. We really need help. At 100 episodes, you start to go, have we talked about everything? We wonder if, since so much time has passed, if maybe we should revisit some of these topics because as you evolve as a human being, your input on those topics probably changes, and your point of view and your perspective and your knowledge and you can offer for value there has probably changed. So we wonder, would you be interested in hearing some of these topics, how to fly a drone, any of these things, social media marketing, any of these things? Would you like us to revisit them? Or should we just keep moving forward with new content, fresh content? And would you like to hear more interviews? Or do you really enjoy Rachel and I shooting off the cuff and such? If you have things that you need help with, which one of our next episodes will be a listener who reached out and said, hey, how do I prepare for the slow season? That's coming. Questions like that are like, okay, maybe that's a podcast, because it's really great to know what you guys would like to hear about, and it helps motivate us to create new content. So that's our ask.
Yes. And I did actually we got a message on Instagram from a listener who's ready to grow his team. And he feels confident that he could get them shooting like him very quickly. But he's like, I don't know what to do with how do I do the gear? How do I pay them? How much do I pay them? And I feel like we have an episode on that. But I think he said he's listened to everything and he's learned a lot from us to help grow his business. And I was like, oh, that's so amazing. I love that. But
cool.
Yeah, so there's another episode idea. But yes, please reach out on Instagram. We are on Facebook, but I think we are. I don't ever check Facebook messengers.
Yeah, we mostly
there.
interact on Instagram for sure.
Go to Instagram, please. But yeah, we'd love to have any kind of episode ideas. We do have a list of a few guests that we have in the hopper. It's just super hard to coordinate Neil and I's schedules. We always schedule these last minute. We record every day at the same time, or every week, which we used to. We used to have Friday nights. Remember that? Every Friday night.
Yes.
It was like record podcast with Neil. And then our spouses got mad.
We needed a date night. Yeah. So
he's like, you could be coming down to the lake house, but you're recording a podcast on Friday night. And I was like, well, I know, but it was like my one day a week by myself. I could do all my laundry, my house stuff, whatever I wanted to do, I could do. Podcast took an hour and then I had the whole rest of the night. Yeah, so I did enjoy that time. But
your whole life's going to change now, Rachel, because now you've got a mule.
I know I have a mule that I have to feed twice a day and I have to shovel its poop every day.
Yeah. How are you going to go on vacation now? Now you also need someone to attend to your mule.
Abel's so funny. He's like, have you found a house sitter yet? I'm like, well, no, but I will. I think once we get one, the neighbors are going to want to come over and pet it. And I'm like, then I'm going to recruit some little 12-year-old girl to come over and feed my mule. There is a girl that lives across the street and she's 12 or 13. I'm not kidding.
Scouting out the girls.
I met her and her mom when we first moved in. And then we said, oh, our kids should play together. And then I just been busy and I only have my kids half the time. So it's not like I have a ton of time with them anyway. So we've never really followed up with that. But now I'm like, well, now we really need help. So
now you're the creepy girl. Rachel has a cargo van, by the way. I just picture you driving through the neighborhood oh, there's a young girl right there. Hey, bet you like mules. Come on over. Oh
my gosh. It's a 2015 white Savannah, GMC Savannah 1500, 3500 cargo van. Yeah. And it has no windows at all in the back or the sides. It's terrifying. And it has no seats in the back. It's completely shelled out. And I bought these two little, I don't even know what they are. They're just at the chair part. There's no legs and they sit on the ground. I got them at Costco. They're memory foam. They're super comfy.
Oh yeah.
And they can recline. So I put those in the back for the kids. So they sit in there. But no, I went around and picked up Jack was with me and picked up a couple of his buddies, and we rolled up to their house, opened the door. I'm like, hop in, kids, free candy. I'm like, this is
so creepy. With like a bed in the back. So creepy. If you were a dude, you couldn't, like, parents would be like, sorry, you can't pick up our kids anymore. It's just not happening.
Exactly. I'm a girl. Anyway, so we need ideas. So please send us ideas. We'd love it. Let us know your input on, like, do we repeat the episode on drone photography, right? Like the basics of real estate photography. I feel like Neil and I are definitely past that phase. Not that we can't go back and talk about it, but we already have. So it's like, should we revisit that? Because things have probably changed.
Yeah.
Probably could.
Yeah. We're always like, and we're just always questioning. We already kind of did it. Do we feel like we're beating a dead horse, or is it refreshing to hear a new spin on it? So let us know. But 100 episodes. Thank you guys so much. And we're going to see you on 101.
Yes, we will be back. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.